Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet. So switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second, unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Mom, I saw Dylan's dad make dinner. Like, actually cook, and it was straight fire. He said it was Blue Apron Assemble and Bake. All the ingredients showed up pre-chopped, and he just laid it out on a baking sheet, and no cap. Dinner was on the table in like 25 minutes. Apparently, it's chef designed, and it has like over 40 grams of protein. That's a lot, right? So maybe we try it. Just saying. You can be the next Dylan's dad. Blue Apron. Get $50 off your first 2 orders plus free shipping with code STIR50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
No Question About That is supported by you, our listeners, through patreon.com/NQAT pod, where you can get access to our weekly ad-free bonus episode talking about football around the Premier League and Europe. Welcome to No Question About That, talking about Leicester 0, Manchester United 3. I'm Ed with Wayne today. Wayne, we can almost have nice things.
Yeah.
Goal for Rasmus, goal for Alejandro Garnacho, goal for Bruno. But I guess we should talk about Ayden Heaven and what looks like a really serious injury. Absolutely gutted for the lad.
Yeah. We almost had a few as well. Delete made 2 great blocks and then Ndidi stood on his ankle. Xerxes took one to the back and you started thinking, flipping it, ring the damn bell, get it over and done with, because it's a game of football that stream of consciousness here. One thing that struck me today, weekend of Barclays, especially after Wolves won, that everything seems pretty pointless. I know this is pretty deep in existentialism here, folks, but the rest of the season just seems like a complete non-entity, especially after Wolves won, because Liverpool have run away with the title. And the thought came to me as I was watching Arsenal-Chelsea earlier, like, we're thinking this is a great day of football, really, a feast of football. You've got 3 games to look forward to, and 2 of them are on ours, and 1 you want to see Liverpool losing. But then there was just nothingness. It didn't even strike me the emotion of what was happening with Newcastle, but it did strike me with the Arsenal game, because the Arsenal and Chelsea games, traditionally, like I said, with United and Arsenal in the past, and United-Chelsea, used to be the barometer of what professional quality was. And Arsenal are a distant second, and they won, but they're still miles away, having already bottled it. So all of that kind of thing was weighing on my mind today. But it's not pointless for some of the United players, because their careers, it's not pointless for Rasmus Hojlund. It's not pointless for Ayden Heaven, because he's got a great chance of breaking into the side. And the one thing that really struck me with him over the last few games is that, that I don't like to be over the top, especially with the young prospects when they're coming in. But I said it with Cobby at the time when he broke through. The key thing that you look for with them is temperament. Oh, well, actually, it's a good point, case in point here, that when Amas came on, you worried about that. Maybe that's why they worried a little bit, because his temperament, his physicality just seemed a little bit off, which is fine. That's how you find out. But Evan has just stepped in seamlessly, and I really do. If you gave me a choice tomorrow between him and Martinez on the left-hand side, I probably would pick Martinez, but it's not far away, because he's that composed, he's that brilliant. And the thing that he does really good is he compensates, because every defender is going to make mistakes, but he recovers really well, and he doesn't make mistakes that are basic enough that you think the raw mistakes that he's making that you expect of an 18-year-old to make. So the fact that he recovers so well, and he's got great pace, great awareness on the ball, everything like that, and he was probably the best player in the game as well, Ed. He made a couple of really good blocks. He was really shining, and then that happened. Leicester fans booing. I hate that as well. You see a booing at the start. Maybe they didn't realise how bad it was. But you knew instantly it was bad. And you just think, God, we can have nice things, but why can't we just have a nice thing where it's just 3-0 and there's nothing else to talk about? Because that's a lad who, the rest of the season was going to be massive for him.
Totally agree. I mean, he's just done so. He's just slotted in. Amorim praised him fulsomely last weekend, didn't he? He said he got a really good player here. He looks like, if you want, what do we want? We want quality, temperament, physicality, right?
Yeah.
Like all these things. They've got to be a good athlete. They've got to be high quality at what they do. And you're looking for that composure, which can take a while, right? And as Kobbie Mainoo, there was never any doubt about his quality or his temperament. Physicality has been a question mark. Harry Amas, I don't think there's any doubt about his quality. Or I don't think his temperament, at least at youth team level. His physicality has definitely been an issue. And Ayden Heaven just felt like he had all three things. I mean, he's clearly very talented player. Physicality, no problem at all. Like, haven't seen any problems there. And Amorim said he's so relaxed, maybe too relaxed. Like, he's just chilled out, and I just feel just absolutely gutted for him. And as you say, it would, if you had a choice right now, it'd be a very close call. I mean, he's definitely a better player than Victor Lindelof. I mean, hey, Victor, I'm sure you're a lovely chap and all that, but United will not be worse off when you depart in the summer. I think that's just fair observation. I'm not picking him out. I mean, apart from when he went up for that header and completely misjudged it in the first half, and I was like, oh man, Victor Lindelof and headers, not good. But Ayden Heaven has all of it. I mean, you don't want to hype him up too much after 5 games, but man, £1.5 million, that is one hell of a bargain for a player of seemingly unlimited quality. Just gutted for him if it's a long-term injury, and it really looked like it. I'm not sure whether it's a leg break or ankle ligaments. It wasn't very clear, was it? But he was in a hell of a amount of pain.
You would say he's out for the rest of the season. It looks
just
fairly
the assumption.
yeah.
What a shame! What a shame for him. On the plus side, Rasmus Hojlund, Bruno with a ball around the corner. Unclear if he meant that or not. He's getting the assist either way. And Hojlund's first touch was absolutely horrible. His second touch was absolutely horrible. And the third one was brilliant.
Yeah.
So not what sure to make about that one. He couldn't get it out from under his feet and then smashed it in the corner.
I'll give Bruno the benefit of the doubt. You're right on Hojlund's first couple of touches. The one thing that, again, looking at this game as kind of like the last of a 38-game season, but there's another 8 of them to go that feel like that. You're looking for the signs of progress within the system now, really, because there's nothing else to look for. It's very, very difficult to look for that. And I hate to do this because I'm normally a positive person, so I will try and extol the positive virtues of it. But when we're playing opponents who are as poor as Sociedad were the other night, and as poor as Leicester, I mean, let's put this into perspective about this Leicester team. They hadn't scored in 5 games prior to tonight. They lost them all. They hadn't scored in 6 home games, I think that's right, and they'd lost every one of those by at least 2 goals.
It's a record, 7 home defeats in a row.
Yeah, with outscoring as well, which is never looking really like... There are a couple of moments tonight where they looked like they broke through. Right at the end, when Vardy shot, it looked like he was going to score. But apart from that... I
tell you what, Ruud van Nistelrooy must be looking at this team going, maybe I should play a manager, maybe I should register myself. 48 years old or whatever he is, so you might give it a go.
Not that, put him in rotation with Vardy because he's not that much older than him. No, but they don't even create the service for him, so he couldn't even stand still and do that. So, it's a really, really poor Leicester side in a really poor Premier League, and I've said that a few times throughout the season. It seems like, I was saying it probably November time, because it was shaping up to be like that. And then you've got that...
When we say poor Premier League, I mean, I think there's a few different ways of thinking about this, aren't there? Because, the Premier League's got so much money in it now I think it's 2.6 billion a year is spent on wages. Premier League is more than double the La Liga. So the bottom team in the Premier League will make more money than the sixth place team in La Liga, right? So, like, Bournemouth can outbid AC Milan, as happened last summer, and all of that kind of stuff. So, I don't know whether it's the quality of the Premier League's down or just the competitiveness, apart from the bottom three, who are all tragic. Like, 17th and up. Like, I mean, we're 13th. 13th, yeah. You didn't think you'd sing that, did you, Wayne? Didn't think you'd sing that, yeah. And like, it's not like we'd be absolutely shocked if United beat the top team, right? Would we? Exactly. So I think it's hyper competitive. Are there any, like, this is going to be a pretty average Liverpool side that wins the league by miles and miles and miles. So I just wonder whether the quality's been compressed a bit. There's no outstanding sides and it's highly competitive. But thoughts?
Maybe, I mean, it's conversation for a much longer and different podcast for sure. I feel there's definitely a lot of truth in what you're saying. I feel you can't argue one point that the bottom part of the Premier League is still stronger than the top part of a lot of other leagues, or at least the middle part of the Premier League would be competitive on par with most other top European leagues now. So I'm not arguing that point. It's very, very complex once you get into that thing. I do feel like whatever happens with Manchester City will, let's say that they get punished as everyone feels that they should do. Even if they don't, it'll still have seismic effects on the Premier League. So either way, one way or another, it will have a massive impact on how the 4 or 5 years in front will look for how this Premier League looks. Because actually, I don't think it's a million miles away from the quality being really high once you get rid of that style of football. But I think where everyone's tried to imitate that style of football and the players aren't always capable of doing it, risk averse, athletic heavy, and I think
that's changing.
That's what I mean. And he's feeling like it's going to change. But let's say, for example, if City don't get punished, and I know we're miles off point here, but I'll pull back to United in a second. But you've asked me the question. Let's say City don't get punished and they invest £250 million in the summer. You're just going to get exactly the same cycle for another 3 or 4 years. It's going to be even worse because City they'll pull miles in front of Liverpool, miles in front of Arsenal. Arsenal will be in their own state of flux. Chelsea, I don't know because it's so unpredictable with how that plan looks. I would gather that my thought would be that they go backwards. Newcastle might step forwards because of what they've been able to do. But I feel like so much of it rides on that. Now, all right, there's another sort of projection where the next 5 or 6 years looks a little bit better once those risk-averse teams start dropping out a little bit, and the more tactically diverse teams like Brighton and Bournemouth and them kind of managers get to some kind of prominence where they see rewards for that.
Yeah,
then you'll see a balance out there. I just think at the moment where the dearth of quality is so bad, to see games like what we saw tonight, just like I said, there's going to be a quarter of a season, a quarter of a Premier League season that
it's
will
kind of
be
meaningless,
and not interesting as a product. It's really not to the neutral.
No,
so
I fully agree. I mean, it's meaningless for United in the sense that like we're only playing for some pride and a few points, and to keep players fresh and injury free. Touch wood, in order to try and win 5 games in the Europa League, right? Everything comes down to that. And then in terms of a product, Liverpool are going to win the league, sadly, unless an asteroid strikes. And hey, we can hope. And the bottom 3 are going to go down. Leicester aren't going to catch Wolves now. It's too many, given their form, just too many points. And so much of it seems settled, which is unusual for the Premier League, for it to all be settled so far ahead of time. And for us to be playing out what essentially feels like a meaningless season. As long as, not meaningless as long as we do all right in the Europa League.
Well, okay, so let me just pull back to the game on that. To interrupt. But so Hojlund, so it isn't pointless for plenty of people. Like, we talk about the teams, but there are plenty of players, particularly at United, where there'll be a lot of change in the summer, one way or another, even if there's not loads of money to spend, depending on what the projection is on the outgoings and things like that. However, there's still a lot of careers at stake. Rasmus Hojlund being one of them. So that goal, for example, is an interesting thing for me. And I pull it like the relevance of me talking about it being a poor league wasn't because I'm just moaning about the standard of the league. I'm talking about the dynamism of that particular move, because the way that we moved the ball was so fluid and it looked so good. If you watch that passage back, the way that we actually constructed that move to find Bruno in the space that he was on the right-hand side was how that system should work with complete fluidity.
Yeah.
So when you see it work like that and you go, okay, that's... on one hand, you would go, that's progress. But I can't see it as progress when the league's that poor or when the opposition's that poor. So Hojlund, everything he did was in the perspective of what we want him to do, right? So he scores the goal. He's a little bit more bullish with his confidence, and we want to see him go on a run. Bit annoying for him that we've got an international break coming up now because it disrupts momentum. Momentum is so valuable. But he's got that goal at least, and he looked a bit more confident. So within the barometer of that, with how we calculate everything on the stats and the football match that we've got in front of us, great. In terms of how I evaluate that and say, is that a good sign of promise for a system? It's very difficult because then you think, are all these players going to be part of that system next season? Obviously, they're not going to be.
Yeah.
Do you know? So it's difficult. I'm not coming down on that with too much criticism there. What I'm trying to say is, when I see the positive things, I'm then like stepping back and saying, all right,
sure.
How do I see this in a long term thing? So it was good to see.
I think it's totally fair that half this squad, or at least a good number of players, will not be at the club next season. There's probably 8 or 9 that the club would like to move on. We'll see whether we can do that many deals. It's unusual. And so, yeah, sure. I mean, you can see why Ruben Amorim didn't really want to come in the middle of the season, because he's having to train half the squad that won't be here next year in a system that it's irrelevant for them. Fine. But he's just doing the best he can. And I think in terms of some of the movement on the pitch, and so certainly some of the construction of some of the goals, what is he trying to do? He's trying to get overloads in every passage of play, right? All through the thirds, fine, especially in wide areas. And we scored a couple of goals tonight that were pure Ruben Amorim balls. Sorry for that. Very sorry. But they really were. And creating overloads in wide areas for the cutback to score the goals, or over and over again at Sporting. So there's just little signs. I'm not going to go over the top with it, because generally speaking, we've been absolutely crap this season. Of our 10 victories in the league, 5 of them are come against the bottom 3 teams. It's been as bad as it has ever been, for sure, both under Ten Hag and especially under Ruben Amorim. But there's just, if you're looking for signs of progress, just little bits. Some good goals against Real Sociedad on Thursday. Strong defensive performance, generally speaking. I mean, save for a ridiculous penalty. And the same again tonight. I mean, a few chances for Leicester right at the end when I think United switched off a little bit. But for the most part, defended well. Magnificent block from Matthijs de Ligt at one point, which he kind of celebrated on his own for having his leg trod on 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
And like doing most of the things. Now, clearly there's a kind of gap between what Amorim wants and what he's getting, and the quality of player he wants and the quality of players we've actually got right now. We hopefully address some of that in the summer. I mean, a lot of big things going on at the club at the moment, but certainly the recruitment is the biggest one of them. And hopefully, but just little signs, I felt all right about it today.
Yeah, no, and I'm sorry that I feel a bit Scrooge and miserly where I'm going pulling it back to the bigger picture when we're talking about the thing of a 3-0 win, which is very rare for United this season. So, and I go back to the point of what I was saying earlier. First of all, you can only be what's in front of you, right? So everything that you do see still has to be considered in the metric of, is this going to be progress? And if you see it and it's there, then don't discount that as well. So that, from that perspective, and the fact that we did see it and we did win, because we could easily have not seen it and we could have lost, or that Leicester could have raised the game and scored the goals that they've not been scoring, and we could have been in the mire even more, or we could have reacted badly to that Heaven injury and sort of that shot from the lad who, I can't remember who it was, if it was Daka who Delate blocked from.
Yeah.
Those things could have not gone for us, but they did go for us. Now, the issue does come when you look at the quality of the sides, or even like last week against Arsenal, you say, all right, we drew, but Arsenal are a bit deflated. They didn't have the momentum in the league. I know they just come off winning 7 at PSV, but it's still difficult to raise your game for the league when you're so far off, especially when Arsenal are such a, not mentally fragile, but they're susceptible to stuff with the mentality, the diplomatic way of saying it. But on the point of, like, you say, all right, well, look at what you do have and what is worth investing in for the future. Well, first of all, you've got Heaven. The second thing is that Hojlund is fighting for his future, whether, because everyone keeps saying this, there's a player in there, like they did with Xerxes, coaxing it to come out. Like you said, it doesn't matter that the first 2 touches are bad, because the vital one was what he did with the last one, and he scores with that. The other thing is, like, Bruno continuing his good form, because Europa League, as much as we said that right off the rest of the season, as much as I'm saying it, the Europa League is still critical to the club's near and therefore long-term future. And Bruno Fernandes, and keeping him is a part of that.
Most certainly.
So for him to play the way that he did was great. The other things like Ericsson, what do we say about that? We don't really say anything, because he's going to be off in the summer probably. We say about Collier coming in and doing a job on the right-hand side for a little bit until he moved into the middle. All right. He did all right. Garnacho, hit and miss again.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So then I'm doing IT, and when I go to plug the servers in, they become sentient, and they won't let us access our network unless we forward their chain emails and memes to more and more and more people, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant finds and invites best fit candidates to apply, so you can discover talent you may have missed. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
But got a goal, and the one that was ruled out, I mean, Hojlund should have played the pass. It's
earlier,
on that. Should have played it earlier. Just held it back too long. But that was a nice finish as well. So we know what Garnacho can bring. He's not brought enough of it this season, but it's still 9 goals, 9 assists this season. So for what I think has been quite a mediocre season, but it's fair. He's 20 years old. We're going to accept that. He's still trying to work out how to play. He's a wide player playing in a narrower system than he might like. He's still trying to work that one out. So it's the coach. He's fighting for his future as well. Rasmus Hojlund, different kind of calculation there, because United will have to take quite a heavy loss if they move him on. They might decide to do that and just take the cash. It would be an accounting problem. But still, look, lots of them under the microscope, lots of them going, and quite a few of them who will not be here next season for sure were in the team in some fashion this year. Casemiro, the club would love to move him on if they can. I mean, obviously the rumours around Saudi are there. There's a little bit of a calculation to be made on fee and then PSR hit versus wages saved. Victor Lindelof not being offered a new contract, he'll be moving on for sure. They've got to make a decision about both Hojlund and Xerxes. Can they keep them both? What does that mean for squad building? Xerxes certainly improved this season. Maybe there's a player in there we weren't sure about. His better games may be coming in the Europa. Question mark about like where he fits and so on and so on. All right. There's so many players for whom this calculation is and this question is true. Absolutely. But at the same time, a few positives, right? So 3 goals, fine finish from Rasmus. Good work from Garnacho on the second one. Bruno, just honestly, if you were to put your house, life, car, job, future on the line and you wanted one person, it would be Bruno for anything, wouldn't it? He's going to get 30 goals and assists this season. He's already got it.
Yeah,
that was the 30th goal or assist this season. He's done that in every single season he's been at United, bar one, which was slightly odd.
You got the Phil Neville step over from Dalot as well, which, I mean, I'm not one to pick out. I don't like doing it, picking out and digging out the opposition defenders. But if you can't defend that, then there's no defending that. Now, I will just to pull back on the point where you said about Hojlund and Garnacho, because I realise I did say that earlier, and I feel like sometimes when you are making en masse judgments, it feels like you're saying they're all the same kind of thing. Whereas those are two different players in two different kind of dilemmas. Firstly, because we don't have Hojlund and Xerxes, it's kind of like, well, we don't have a striker at all, really, and that's why Obi's coming in and being given so many chances, is because we just don't have an option there. Xerxes shouldn't be playing that role because he's not an out-and-out 9. If he does play it, that's part of what we say about Amorim's tinkering with the system. Does he pull him deeper and does he invert the 9 and ask the forwards to play behind the wide forwards that tends to push behind the defence, which he has done on occasion with Garnacho. He was doing that. When with those two players, Xerxes and Garnacho, Hojlund in particular, it's very much a matter of confidence. So these last 10 games or so, you're looking at those players and you're saying the jury is out on quality and confidence. So they have to showcase their confidence can rise and that they can still contribute when they're not confident. Because when they look like this season, the evidence up until March 16th, Leicester City 3-0, the evidence is that if they're not confident, they are dead weights to the team. So they need to change that around, because great players don't play like that. Garnacho's a different case because of we don't have profiles of those players at the club right now, but we do have them on the books, like Rashford and Sancho and players of that Ahmad, who can play in those positions.
By the looks of it, we'll have both of them on the books come the summer as well.
Yeah.
Different question.
Yeah, I know. But with the Garnacho thing, where it's different in terms of Hojlund, is like you alluded to and we've talked about before, is that he's been... Normally when a player is his age of development, so he's been inside for 2.5 years in terms of like his squad development, what you are normally saying to that player is, where do you kick on in your trajectory? And we are asking that question of Garnacho, but we're also asking it at the same time as can you fit into this system, which on either side, because he played from the right tonight, or can you fit into this system, which is slightly different to the one that suits your skill set? So the different questions to what we're asking of Hojlund and Xerxes, and obviously I would say unless like a club comes in with crazy money, and they might do, like Chelsea, never know what to expect from Chelsea, that Garnacho will probably be here next season because he does offer something different. Yeah, all right, I could see a case in the next 2 months where he contributes, where he kicks on, where his goal output, like you said, 9 and 9 is pretty good considering the season that he's had and the struggles that we've had as a team and the availability that he's had and not had, where he was out of the side and then pulled back into it. So, yeah, there are things still to play for. I might have written it off completely at the start of this, like 20-odd minutes ago, but there are still individual things to play for, and those are the things to look out for. And on the evidence of that, like you said, there are promising signs. It's just, I'm always like, all right, what's the next 2 or 3 games look like after you've done it against Sociedad and Leicester?
For sure. Well, we're at the international break now, so just as we're getting a bit of momentum. I mean, actually, it's 4 defeats in 2025, so the record post-Christmas is not horrendous, not as horrendous as it could be. I mean, obviously, there's quite a few draws in there. I think it's 3 last season.
In perspective, relative to what we expect to this side,
Yeah. So I'm just looking for little signs from the team. I think we're seeing it from individual players. Some of them we're seeing it. It's not all the time, for sure. I mean, Rasmus has scored tonight, but has been pretty off it for most of the last 20-odd games. As Garnacho's first goal in... I thought it was 25, but I think I may have miscounted a goal in there somewhere. We've relied very heavily on Bruno Fernandes since the turn of the year, very, very heavily with a number of goals and assists he's getting. We need more contributions elsewhere, but Xerxes seems to be improving. Even Casemiro's had a few games, mostly in the Europa, which does, I think, suit him in terms of the style of football and the lesser levels of intensity. Probably same true of Ericsson, although I'd say he will be moving on to, with our best wishes. Thank you for your service.
Good shot, though, in the first half. That was a good shot.
Yeah, cracking turn and shot against the the post. Yeah, I mean, no doubting his quality. It's the physicality that's the problem with Ericsson. It was when he joined the club, basically.
Yeah, but that first year, he was just able to sort of glide through that season. We had other legs around him and stuff like that. So that first year, but he was a good signing for that time because it was like, well, he comes in and he brings something that we don't have, and we won't need him next year or the year after. And here we are 3 years later, and we're still looking at him in a number 10 role, starting in league game.
He played 8 in his first season. He's played number 10 in the last few games, which is probably the better position for him because he doesn't really have the physicality in midfield. Someone who does is Manuel Ugarte, puts in a real shift, tackle, fighting, covering the ground, interceptions, the whole lot defensively. I mean, the question as we improve as a team under Amorim is whether he really suits the profile because you don't need, like, the danger with his system, 3-4-3, is you get outnumbered in central midfield and you need to have some real monsters physically to ensure that doesn't happen. So there'll be a question mark over Manuel Ugarte there. Has he got enough of an all-round game for now? Exactly what you need when you need a team that needs to be more intense, needs to fight for everything, needs to win some second balls. It's still a game of athletes as well as quality, then he's perfect for this. So anyway, look, plenty of nuance to all of these discussions, but it is a 3-0 win after having scored 4 on Thursday. Good times, good times. Just so gutted for Ayden Heaven that it looks really serious. I mean, I'm hoping we'll find out that it's some kind of ankle ligament, but not too serious, bit of a twist. He'll be back in a few weeks, that kind of thing, rather than broken leg or snapped ligaments. And just one of those things to be out for months. Just really gutting for him.
Yeah. Do you know what it reminded me of? It's going to sound like a fairly obscure reference now. Now I think about it and absurd it. Do you remember when Timothy Fosu-Mensah came into the side?
Yeah.
And he was like a beast when he first came in. And it was like he was playing in holding midfield. And the idea was that he'd move eventually into centre-half. And he might have only played like 8 or 9 games. It was the same run where Marcus broke in under Van Gaal.
Yeah.
And I think Fosu-Mensah was brought in at the start of the season, but he come in through the injury crisis. And he honestly looked like a proper beast in there. Probably even better than Heaven has looked so far. He was that good. He carried the ball. He looked like not an attacking threat, but the way that he carried the ball was so forceful and into midfield that he looked like he was an handful for opponents where you'd have to look out for what he brought. But like Heaven maybe doesn't have that yet, but I think he'll grow into it, hopefully. And he had this run of form and he had all that momentum going, and then he picked up an injury and he never got back in. And there were a couple in that side as well, both with Jackson. I've talked about him as well, but that's because he had a nice left foot and he could cross the ball. And we had Shaw and he couldn't really cross. I don't think he ever can really. And Rojo, who couldn't cross and couldn't tackle, apart from he could hurt. So to lose players who show promise like that, when you know that there's some resonance there and some connection. I know Evan's only been with us since January, but he's still a kid, and there's still that kind of connection that comes in the same kind of way that you would give him more of a sort of push than like Johnny Lindelof, like you were saying there, like you're like ready to bag on him straight away, like not Lindelof again. But that's the general consensus from the fans, that, oh, not Lindelof again. But you'll give the kid a chance. Yeah. Based not primarily on his age, but a huge part on his age, because you want to see him tie into United's tapestry in that way. So all right, I'm making the Fosu-Mensah point there, but it's really about a player who comes in and shows a lot of potential. And United have got too many of those players who, going back to the 60s, is Bobby Noble, who played like 20 odd games or something. He played in the team's title-winning season, 66-67. He should have been in the left back when we won the European Cup, but he had a car crash. Never seen again. Seen again. Never even mentioned. Most people who listen to this podcast will never have heard of him, and he would have probably gone on to be a United legend. So I'm talking about the momentum and the damage that injuries cause to that. And I'm not overreacting. I'm not putting Heaven in that company. But what I mean is when you see such promise and temperament being the main thing, that you see someone just glide and look so beautiful on the ball, that to see that derailed. We saw it happen with Luke Shaw, and Valencia, great players. They looked full of confidence, but then they suffered, maybe not so much
injury.
With those two players in particular, it was bad tackles. I didn't see that one back, so I don't know how bad that tackle was. But
I don't think so. It looked
no,
unlucky.
He played on. He played on. He didn't even get a talking to or a booking. And I'm not suggesting he should, by the way. I've not seen it. What I mean is Shaw and Valencia were injured by bad tackles. And you could see the products in that. In Valencia took a long time to regain his confidence. And when he did, he was fine. He was a flying machine. Shaw still suffers with that. He talks about it. He suffers with it. He was talking... there was a viral clip of him the other day about how he nearly lost his leg and everything like that. So it's an ongoing part of the conversation. You don't want to see that for someone who's come in and shown such promise. And I think that's the biggest thing that we're all gutted about, is because there's that presence of mind where you can remember.
Did it derail his career? Yeah, absolutely. Loads of young players have had their careers derailed by injuries. I mean, it really does. I mean, especially in formative years, if they're out for a long time, He's like, if he is out for a long time, he may well not play again this season. All that progress will be lost. He won't be with the first team group. He'll be in rehab and recovery. And so all that kind of learning and progress and momentum he's got will disappear. As you were talking, I was just looking up Timothy Fosu-Mensah. He's still at Bayer Leverkusen, barely played for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So he's 27 now. Where does the time go? Well, that's a really old man thing to say, but yeah.
No, he's right.
I still think of him as a kid, and he's not.
Especially, I think when they play and they leave when they're young, you can crystallise them in that sense in which you saw them. So the next time you see him, because I'm gonna hasten a guess here that he hasn't played like he did when he was at United. Because he looked like a wrecking ball when he was at United. I don't think he's played with that kind of liberation since. Leverkusen were brilliant last season. He didn't play a single minute for them. He played in stages, because I've folled his career.
Bits of the Cups, yeah.
I loved him. But so he's just been a part player, and he should have been so much more than that. He didn't have, I don't think his injury was like a big one or anything like that. I think they were starting to become innocuous small ones, but they can cause just as much damage. And look, hopefully it's one of those things like you said, bad impact, but he'll be back after the international break. We're talking about this. I have no idea. Straight after
we have no idea, but we hope so. Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about Ndidi's stamp? Because come on, Matthias. I mean, it's just very naughty. I mean, Patrick Dorgu got a red the other day, which I thought was deserved red, just because of the danger. So Ndidi coming in quickly, no control whatsoever, over the top of the ball, studs flush on the shin, top of the ankle area, in every single way you could think about the wording in the guidance of the IFAB rules or the FA's interpretation of the Premier League's guidance. That's a red card. He was given the yellow, so it can't be reviewed. But that is just that is a bad error. And I'm quite sure that when the PGMOL comes out with their guidance on what was right and what was wrong, the report will say that was a bad decision, should have gone. I mean, in the end, it didn't impact the game. But it is frustrating when you get those kind of inconsistencies, and surely this is what VAR is for, because he came out with the yellow card so quickly, can't be checked or what? I mean, surely you should be going, that's dangerous.
I will say, Ed, when I first watched it, I thought it was a bad tackle, but my instant reaction wasn't red card, and maybe it should have been. So I'm thinking about it now, and it was a bad tackle. My thinking wasn't more about the punishment, because we were already comfortable, and I was more thinking about De Ligt, and I was watching him for the rest of the game. I don't know if you noticed this, because the injury was to his ankle, but I don't know if it's the way that he went down or if it was a challenge after that. He was covering his arm a lot for at least a good 5 minutes, his left arm. I don't know if he went dead or if he looked like he sprained his elbow or something like that, but he was moving really, really badly. And I was thinking, God, he's moved over to the left. You know what I mean? He's done that because he's the senior defender out of those choices, and he was obviously doing well because he'd done 2 really good blocks in there, and then for him to have come off as well, I'm like, how much bad luck can United have in their defence?
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
Quite a lot. I think there's 5 centre-backs out at the moment. Yeah. The injuries that are piling up appear to be bad luck rather than like lots and lots of muscle injuries as we got last season, which was clearly overtraining. And it appears to be a lot of bad luck, although fullness of time will allow us to assess exactly what's going on there. And they fired Gary O'Driscoll and some of his medical team in what seems to be another shake-up of the medical department rather than Sir Jim's like austerity measures. We'll find out. You've got to have some medical.
Yeah,
team,
you've got to
right?
have a doctor. You've got to have a doctor there, but otherwise Tommy Docherty can't have an affair with a physio.
Maybe Big Sir Jim's got his eye on Gary. He's like, "Oh, I like a bit of you," and it's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to leave the club, son."
Yeah, you got to leave. Yeah,
outrageous speculation.
We just can't concentrate with your good looks around. Oh, obviously you need medical staff, but this isn't the first time. We've been down this road in the last 10 years, maybe 3 or 4 times where they've just said, "Oh, the medical staff have all got to go because there's something going wrong." We've had injury crises for 10 years, and I think there is some truth. A little bit of truth, and I think it's whenever a former player mentions it, there's always that Keenan Rooney. They come out and they say something, and they go, "Oh, it's an angry player saying something," and they just want sound bites. But there's always the beginning of some kind of truth in there. You remember Rooney speaking about it? I think it was the back end of last season. It might be in the season before. I'm sure it was the end of last season. He said it was because it was the FA Cup final. He was talking about the players who were out. He said, "Look at the players who will return for the final." And they did. A lot of them did. I think Varane was one of them he was talking about. He was basically talking about how players disappear when things are going tough and when they reappear when things are going right. And how much a player is willing to withstand when things are closer to glory and how much pain a player will put themselves through. There's got to be some correlation there, I think. Is it worth it for a player to, if they're not 100% fit, to put themselves in the firing line when there's nothing really to play for United, apart from the Europa League final, which you might find that a lot of players are suddenly fit for that if United get there. But the duration of the battle, the endurance of the battle, is very difficult because that's a very, very, and I know it's a phrase to return to, a very big platform to fail on, as consistently as these players have done. So I'm not doing the Rooney thing here and calling out whether or not these injuries are legitimate. What I'm saying is United have got this it's not just this year and it's not just Ten Hag. We've had these crises repeatedly throughout the last 10 years. And I think there's got to be some kind of correlation there in terms of the mentality and the fragility of, even if it is just a case of like, do you protect yourself for the summer move? Do you protect yourself for the summer tournament?
Yeah, we know players do this for sure. Yeah, I was just looking down the list of injuries here, and let's have a think. I mean, Maguire's played through pain before. He got loads of injections in his hip before, so I have no doubt. Heaton Binder, goalkeepers, whatever. Johnny Evans, he's been out for a while. He is also like 900. Lenny Yoro. Really bad luck.
Ed,
really bad luck.
Goalkeepers, whatever. What does that mean?
It just means I just don't think they're faking an injury. I mean, Thomas.
All right, okay. I'm like, is it not important?
Tommy, yeah, also not important. Sorry, goalkeeper. Sorry. Tom Heaton's, he's got a great contract just to be the third goalkeeper for training, or for the warm up pre-game.
He's a good goalie, Tom.
He's a good lad. Martinez. I mean, they will have to make a decision about him in the summer because quality player, but just. We've had 3 years now of him just not being available.
They'll make it not in the summer. They can't because he'll still be out. So January.
No, that's true. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, Luke Shaw. I mean, he has another year on his contract after this. It'd be very unlikely that he moves on unless they came to an accommodation with him. Like he can move to another club on a free if don't have to pay him off. Kobbie Mainoo, kind of worrying about how many injury he's getting, and it may be he's still young, but you'd be looking at that and going, it's a bit too many of these injuries, muscle injuries. Dorgu, he'll be back suspended today, and Ahmad was very unlucky at training ground tackle with these injuries. So it doesn't appear to be a pattern here, but yeah, I absolutely, like, how many injury crises have we been through in the last 10 years? It feels like a lot, even if I don't have the data in front of me that tells me that it's the worst of any club or anything like that. So that, I mean, if you're taking it holistically, squad management, budget, training facilities. So Carrington will open again early July in time for pre-season training. They've spent £50 million on that. I'm going to assume they've got some magical healing in there. Maybe Pep's old doctor needs to come along and sort our problems out. Or is Dave Brailsford, does he know anyone? Maybe with some jiffy bags, some magic potion in them.
Talk about marginal gains.
Oh, yeah. Get some EPO in there directly. I feel like we've run out of things to talk about, Wayne. So we're now talking about scandalous stuff that definitely didn't happen.
Step into your future with an all-new series, Star Trek Starfleet Academy.
Being a cadet means being open to the people around you.
I've spent my whole life getting away from stuff, letting someone in. It's hard.
I want to be captain. I need to be captain.
Holly Hunter and Paul Giamatti star.
You'll encounter challenges your predecessors never had to imagine.
Starfleet Academy. New series now streaming on Paramount Plus.
It's football season, and you can now get almost anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a running back delivered, but you can get baby back ribs delivered. A strong defense? No. A strong deodorant? Yes. A six-pack of abs? Nope. Six-pack of beer? Yes. Get almost anything for game day delivered with Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol 21 plus and in select cities. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Yeah, okay. What this other football has happened? There's the magic of Newcastle. The fairy tale.
First trophy in 55 years or 69 years or 75 years or whatever it was. I couldn't really tell, really. Yeah, MBS will be dancing through the halls of the PIF, which is definitely not owned by the Saudi state, by the way. We've had legal assurances on that front.
Yeah. Can you remember a few years ago, they had, I don't know where it was filmed. I'm not familiar with the locality, but a bunch of Geordies, they were singing, and it was like, we've got Lionel Messi cleaning the bogs because Maggie's are the richest club or something like that. And their perspective, this was shortly after the takeover, like they were all wearing the sort of tea towels on their heads and everything like that, completely abandoning thing. And there's an element of me, when we beat them in the League Cup final 2 years ago, there was an old guy on the news, and I didn't see it because I was at the final, but I saw it afterwards. They were showing some of the news, it might have been like Match of the Day or something. And they showed the guy, there was an old guy, and he was in tears, Newcastle. For this before the game, because he'd only been to Wembley a few times to see him, and he was just pleased that they were there at all after what happened with Mike Ashley. And there's an element of me, the romantic of me, in because it still exists, because those fans are old enough and they've survived enough, and they've been through enough of utter turmoil with garbage ownership, by the way, I should say. They did deserve better than that, and they got better than that. However, the way that they sold the soul for it, and their entitlement of the majority of the fans that I have witnessed, not the majority of the Newcastle fans, the majority of the Newcastle fans that I have seen, their entitlement to this, because they went through some kind of hardship, it is a bit funny because, yeah, all right, it's a bit not great for them. The rules and regulations have changed a little bit, so they can't spend as freely as they were hoping to benefit from.
What a shame.
I know. But they have still
Newcastle.
But they've still spent a lot, and they're still able to sort of hold Isaac to ransom when he would probably want to go to a club that will win things more freely. But they hold all the cards because they've got all the money, and they do not need to sell him, so they will not be selling him. Anyone who goes there knowing they're there for as long as Newcastle want them to go. A little bit like Levy at Spurs, but with more money to make the point.
Yeah.
But you made a point earlier about, we don't want Liverpool to win. And I don't, and I'm glad that they lost, obviously, from a sporting rival perspective. But I was thinking about this after the match, because in the isolated perspective of Newcastle win a trophy, and this is all they've won, and then they don't win anything else for another 20-odd years, which I think is unlikely, but let's say that they don't. Is the romance lost in that? Do you say it's a sports washing thing? Because it still is. But then, do we really not want Liverpool to win anything? And I don't. But I'm talking about in the perspective of, we had this big thing to chase for years and years and years, right? And we got there, and the moment was amazing when we leveled them on league titles, and amazing when we surpassed them, and amazing again when we went that extra bit. So we're starting to think, maybe not in our lifetimes, we won't see them come back. Do you know what I mean? Or at least in Fergie's lifetime, we won't see them go past him. Right. But now they are level. They will be level. I think they're past us in trophies won overall. And I think that these are the things that are supposed to mould the character.
Yeah.
Well, also mould the character of whatever this next United team is. So, like, let's say we are at the acorns and the seeds of a great United side managed by Ruben Amorim, which goes on to win trophies. Then their character will be shaped. Let's say they win league titles and they win a European Cup, and Bruno Fernandes is part of that and everything, and we all romanticize what happens in 5 or 6 years. Do we not? It means much more. Of course, it means much more if we are beating Liverpool or surpassing Liverpool records to go
right.
there.
You need the lows to appreciate the highs. Sure. I mean, I know what you're saying there, of course. And there's, for the last few years...
I'm glad they lost, by the way.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. For the last few years, we've had this choice between City and Liverpool. Which devil do you want to pick here? And generally speaking, I come down on the side of I'd rather City won, because I can kind of dismiss them.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a state-funded non-entity that plays really boring football, and I'm just going to forget about them. It doesn't even count, asterisk against them, whereas Liverpool's a proper football club, proper rivalry and all that, and no, I don't want them winning, come what may, right? So generally speaking, I come down on that front. I mean, it was kind of the opposite here in that, hey, Newcastle, the romantic story of Mohammed bin Salman's plaything, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Then again, John Henry was at a Trump rally the other day and called out by Trump, scumbag as well. I did enjoy Liverpool got knocked out of the Champions League by Paris Saint-Germain the other day. FSG out was trending on Twitter for a while. I was like, they've taken it well. I mean, in the last month, their talk of a quadruple for Liverpool has gone, and beaten by Plymouth in the FA Cup, beaten by Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, and beaten by Newcastle in the Carling Cup final, or Carabao Cup final.
Yeah.
They are sadly going to win the league, sadly, and they will equal our record, and there you go. Will we get to 21 before they do? At this point, you'd say that's probably highly unlikely, wouldn't you? But who knows? Who knows? The thing is, I mean, coming full circle to our conversation from earlier in the pod, I don't think it takes that much to move quite rapidly up the league. Now, whether you can go from 13th, 12th, 11th, whatever we're going to finish the season into challenging for a title seems unlikely given our financial position, but you can go from that to top 4. You definitely can. The gap is not, I mean, the points gap is quite large now, but the quality gap isn't miles away. We've seen Nottingham Forest. You can do it with a very clear game plan that everyone buys into, even with mostly mediocre players. You can get quite far up this league. So the hope for us is that we can make quite a lot of progress next season. Depends on the business that's done this summer, of course. And that Project 2028 is on. Thank you very much, Omar Barada. Your reputation is on this one. Something like that. All right. Well, no midweek game. Everyone gets a week off. I will be back with you at some point this week to talk about your new book, Wayne.
Yes. That's why I'm not plugging it relentlessly now. Thanks, Ed.
You should plug it relentlessly. Where can you buy this new book? What's it called?
Football Tour by Matt Busby. Thank you to everyone who's supported with it so far. Yeah, you can get it on all the good bookstores. Unfortunately, there was a great bookstore that was online, Book Depository, which did worldwide delivery for free. They're not there. But you can get it on Amazon, you can get it at Waterstones or wherever you get your books.
All right, support your local independent bookstore.
Yeah.
Ask them to go order a copy and we'll have a conversation about that. Weighty tome, over 400 pages.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's quite a bit. It's quite a bit.
A doorstop, Ed. That's what it's there for.
Yeah. Well, if that pandemic ever strikes again and we run out of toilet paper, you'll know what to do. Oh, dearie me. Thank you very much, everyone. If you would like to support us, Apple Podcast subscriptions to get the extra shows we do, or patreon.com, or leave a rating and a review and a like on whatever platform you are. It's much appreciated. As always, Wayne, thank you.
Thank you.
Catch you next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Selling your car shouldn't feel like a second job. It should feel easy. With Carvana, it is. Just visit Carvana.com, enter your license plate or VIN, answer a few quick questions, and get an offer in minutes. Like what you see? We'll pick it up right from your door and hand you your check. No haggling, no hassle, no problem. Car selling made easy on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.